Why I stopped trying to fit in. A lot of us find ourselves around people who we try to fit in with, who have different habits to us, who have different lifestyles to us, and we try to fit in with them. And I believe it's kind of natural to an extent. You always want to fit around these people who you're around, don't you? You always want to fit around them, and you always want to be like them in a sense. But the reality is, when you start getting lesser returns from being around these people, when you start changing your habits, when you start wanting to change yourself, better yourself, and these people are doing these habits that you know aren't good and know ain't gonna better you, and you know you're not necessarily compatible with these people and these lifestyle, you automatically start to kind of drift away from that. You automatically start to become more cautious of the actions you take, more cautious of what you do at that moment, more cautious what you want to do with them people. And I've had situations like this. It comes to a point where you become less and less compatible with these people. It comes to a point where you don't want to be like them. It comes to a point where your growth is more higher than a night out, than multiple nights out a week, than going out all the time and drinking loads of alcohol, doing loads of drugs, smoking a load, you know? It comes to a point where your growth is more over than that, becomes more prominent than that, and what you want to be. Because I found myself, when I wanted to be around these people, when I wanted to try and fit in, it wouldn't truly be me. It wouldn't truly be me, and it would also kind of take away from me, because I just wanted to be like them. I wanted to just fit in so they wouldn't say anything about me, so they enjoy the time with me, so they make me feel good about myself. But automatically, I took away from myself, because I wasn't achieving who I wanted to be. I wasn't bettering myself into who I wanted to be. I wasn't literally taking myself up to that version I wanted to be. And it had negative returns on me, because I wanted to be like them so bad. I wanted to be like these people so bad. I wanted to do the same things, do the same habits. And ultimately, it wasn't me. So therefore, it wasn't me. So I wasn't being authentic to myself. I wasn't being who I wanted to be. I wasn't bettering me. And also, I'm giving into these drugs and these habits and this alcohol. I didn't do any hardcore drugs. I only done alcohol really. But I'm giving into alcohol and all this stuff to please these people, taking away from me, giving myself a hangover, wasting my own money, and not bettering myself when I could have put that into all different areas. I could have put that into all different areas that would have bettered me. And it's quite sad in a sense, because a lot of us want to fit in with people. A lot of us truly want to fit in with people nowadays, because we don't want to be made fun of. We don't want to be laughed at. We don't want to feel a disconnect between them, if that makes sense. But ultimately, you got to kind of value your own growth during that. You got to value your own growth during that. For example, I went out last Friday with a group of people. I didn't drink. They were all drinking. They were all doing drugs. They were smoking weed. They were doing all kinds of drugs, drinking alcohol. And there's quite a few people there. And I didn't drink. And I was there for a few hours. I got a bit of social in me, and then I dipped. And I felt quite fulfilled in that. And I went home, and then I worked out, and I woke up the next day with good energy, feeling good. And I felt quite good in that, because I valued my growth over that. I literally went home, worked on this, done some more stuff for this, worked out, got a good night's sleep. And I felt very grateful and almost blissful during that, because it allowed me to disconnect from what everyone else was doing. It allowed me to disconnect from trying to fit in a sense, and being me, being actually me. And I had a good time as well. It wasn't like I didn't have a good time. It wasn't like I didn't get on with these people. I got on with these people decent, but it was more so that it felt better for me to do that, because I valued my growth. I thought I might as well get a bit social in me. I might as well get out around these people and just like get a bit of social in me, have a bit of a laugh, take a bit of time away from just life in general, and just mess about a little bit. And ultimately, it's actually a beautiful thing in a sense, because you find yourself actually understanding who you are, and actually understanding this whole scenario in a different sense. Because when you're around people who's drunk and they're laughing at everything and you're not finding it as funny, and when you're around people who's doing drugs and all this and they're just out their head like this and you're just there, it's one of these things where it's almost like you realise that you don't want to be doing them habits. You realise you don't want to be fitting. You realise you want to be yourself during that. And if anything, you're more authentically yourself when you're not drinking, because it's actually you. If you rely on a substance, if you rely on alcohol to be a more confident version of yourself, that's terrible to begin with, isn't it? That's terrible to begin with, because ultimately in every situation you're going to get in, you're not going to be fully yourself then. You're not going to have the full confidence in yourself. But whereas when you don't have any alcohol in you and you go up to these people and you speak to them and you get on well with them and you make them laugh and you have a good interaction and all that, that's truly you then. It's not a hyper version of yourself or a more drunk, confident version of yourself, which a lot of time comes with alcohol. And I've had that in the past. I've just become more confident, because I used to have situations when I'd be around people and I wouldn't even talk because I was so nervous. But ultimately, you have to kind of understand, where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What person do you want to be? Do you want to be a person who does drugs, drinks all the time and all this? Every now and again is fine, but do you want to be like that? And do you want to be like these people you're around? Or do you want to be a better version of yourself? Do you want to better yourself? Do you value who you want to be in the future? Do you value the growth that you can make, having a more productive day the next day instead of having a hangover? Do you value literally bettering yourself and working towards things the next day instead of having a hangover, instead of hating your life, instead of wasting all your money on a lot of alcohol, wasting a good amount of money on alcohol that you don't even need to drink, you know? And it's kind of beautiful in a sense when you take a step back from trying to fit in with these people, trying to fit in with the drug lifestyle, the alcohol lifestyle, the smoking lifestyle, and you understand that that doesn't define you. You don't need these substances to be around people. You have the confidence within yourself, and that's why it's truly blissful in a sense. But overall, the reason I stopped trying to fit in was because I knew there was more negative effects of me being around this lifestyle and giving into these drugs, giving into this alcohol, giving into all these things than positive. I understood that I didn't need these things to better me, and it wasn't in the vision of myself who I wanted to be in the future, in a sense. So why would I give into these things for a short-term pleasure? Why would I give into alcohol now for a short-term pleasure to have a headache tomorrow? Why would I give into drugs to have a short-term pleasure, a high then a low? Why would I go and be a version of myself that I'm not necessarily am when I'm on alcohol? A more confident version, a more version who isn't necessarily me deep down, or maybe it's me deep down, but it's a artificial version of myself and not a real version of myself, when I need to achieve that in myself and I need to build that actual confidence in myself. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. We shouldn't be relying on a substance to make us feel confident. We should be building that in ourselves, and we shouldn't need to be around drugs and alcohol to make us feel good and make us feel better. We need to build that in ourselves, and that's an important thing overall for us, and that's somewhere where we have to work on. And ultimately, do you want to be around this lifestyle trying to fit in with people if that's not going to better you and be the person who you want to be? And it's important to think like this at the time. And I've got multiple nights out coming, and I don't know if I'm going to drink much on them. I don't even know if I'm going to drink at all, because I got this version of myself who I want to be. I value my sanity, I value how I feel, and it's important for us to truly reach the best version of myself. And if we're relying on a vice, if we're relying on drugs, if we're relying on alcohol, that's us not reaching the best version of ourselves, and that's us not truly helping ourselves in a sense, because we are not who we truly want to be, and we're relying on something that's artificial, that's not going to help us in a sense. Well, it may help us at that time, but it's going to have a short-term effect, and it's not going to be a actual full-time effect, you know, in comparison to you actually working on your confidence, working on yourself, bettering yourself and building yourself in a sense to be that confident version of yourself who you want to be, and being able to be around that environment by yourself, and also having a good time around that without needing these drugs, without needing alcohol. And that's the message in this video. That's why I stopped trying to fit in. And I hope you lot got a lot of value in this video. Like, comment and subscribe. Thank you for all the love recently. It means the world to me. Thank you.